born into this. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate.
What the hell?
None of them deserved it. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate.
That sound effect. One more time.
None of them deserved it. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate.
Grandma sounded like a grown ass man.
No.
So, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Iceman, and yeah, I know I look rough. I look extremely rough. You feel me? It's been a long couple days. First of all, y'all hear the fan in the background. It's not a fan. It's my heater. It's 20 degrees outside. It's literally it was snowing yesterday, and I'm in Alabama. You know I'm not built for this cold. But also, I found out the day before yesterday that my best friend, one of my best friends, is no longer with us. And it's been very hard to cope with. It's been very hard to understand. I'm full of confusion. I'm full of anger. I'm full of disappointment in myself. I could have been a better friend. I could have reached out more. More of the story is, man, check on your people. Don't wait. Don't wait. Check on your people right now. Make sure your people are okay. Just definitely go and do that for me. This is a fan project. Attack on Titan. Cowards. It's a long video, so bear with me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stick with me through it. And we doing this because honestly, I know the insane amount of effort that this man put into this is gonna be worth watching. You feel me? So we're gonna definitely check it out. Try not to make this intro too long. With that being said, I love you guys. I really appreciate y'all. This right here will primarily be my reaction channel now because of a lot of stipulations that's going on with my channel. They've taken my monetization away. They've taken subscribers away. And it's been a weird process through the whole thing. But, you know what I'm saying? We still here. I'm still here for y'all. And we still going to upload to this channel. We ain't going to let nothing kick us back. This is where it started. So, yeah, let's get into this Attack on Titan Cowards fan project. And I know it's going to be enjoyable already without even, you know what I'm saying? Because my boy Udi made it. Udi, shout out to you, man. Love y'all over there. Y'all doing y'all thing. I'm paying attention. I ain't been on the podcast, man, but I do be paying attention. I tune in. And I appreciate y'all for doing that because it give me something to do while I'm editing. Give me something to do when I got my mind on stuff. You know what I'm saying? I run out of stuff to watch on YouTube. I can always go to the Walkie Talkie podcast. Boom. Plenty of stuff. So, yeah.
You know, when you guys invaded us, as kids, Eren said something that really stuck out to me. He said that this is a reminder that humanity is cattle. That we were trapped in a cage. Not that we became livestock, but we always were.
Yeah, I might need to add. This is a continuation of one of the episodes in season 4, I do believe. So it's not like he redoing the whole thing. It's just like a, you know what I'm saying, an expansion.
Just merely forgotten. But you guys woke humanity up. Woke us up to something Eren was saying all along. The idea of freedom Eren was talking about long ago was completely different from the freedom he
My office going through renovations. I know it's junky back there. Don't worry about it.
wants now. It was about humanity escaping the slaughterhouse as cattle to stop themselves from walking to their deaths, being eaten alive. But as time went on, you warped that cage from that of one holding livestock to a bird. What Eren desires now more than anything is freedom. The freedom to fly across the world, wherever he desires, without worry of an enemy in sight. It's similar, but shaped completely different. He no longer thinks of humanity as simply cattle, but that makes me wonder, What is Eren trying to do now? Is he acting as the reminder humanity needs and waking the world up to how weak they are? Or is he breaking free of the cage you placed him in, so he can fly without worry? Those are the two options, but more important than that, I wonder, which of those options is right?
Watch your tongue. You're really going to speak so carefree about his slaughter in front of his victims? Where are your ethics?
You're one to talk. Captain Levi told us what you did to his squad. I'd have him confirm it for us, but look at the state that you Marleyans put him in.
Things were different back then. What's happened since then doesn't have anything to do with me. It was your captain's choice to become a suicidal bastard.
Don't speak so half-heartedly, knowing we all chose to become suicidal bastards years ago when we joined the Scouts, Eren included, to combat you. The enemy, who unbeknownst to us, spent years by our side. I never even wanted to join the Scouts. Not until Trost. I felt so useless.
No, you're wrong on one thing, Jean. Eren never became one. Unlike us, he was born that way.
Because he was born into a cruel world, one of your own creation. And even being revealed as the enemy, Eren didn't want to admit it.
Even as we were fighting you in Stois, Eren still wanted to see you as a friend. It made him conflicted.
And he hesitated. He couldn't even transform without the drive to fight you. Even though you were always cruel and trying to take Eren away from us. You were always heartless.
Hey, Mikasa, calm down. That's not—
Calm? I'm tremendously calm, considering how much I'm having to hold myself back from acting on my desperate want to kill you all right now.
For everything you've done to me and Armin, and the rest of us, and for everything you've put Eren through, he doesn't want this. He isn't doing any of this now because he wants to. He's doing it because he was forced to. You forced his hand. You made Eren kill everyone in the world. He's doing all this now because he has to. You left him no other option. You did that to Eren. Look at how far you've made him go.
And it's still not enough for you. And now you're asking for our help. His very own friends to turn against him because you want to take it farther. You just can't give it up. Even with the sake of the entire world. You want to escalate the violence even further. I could never forgive you for that.
He chose this on his own. Don't act like any of this is natural. Eren isn't normal. It doesn't matter how far he was pushed. This is the whole world we're talking about. What kind of psychopath could do something like this? What's more, you've seen it yourself, just like I have. We all have. Eren
Hot take. Eren wasn't wrong. He wasn't.
is insane. He always was. That's in his nature. He was going to do this whether we pushed him or not. He hasn't changed. He was always this cruel.
Annie, both back then and now, you didn't have to be so cruel. You chose to spare me after all.
Don't be so kind around the enemy, Armin. You have Bertolt's memories after all.
But
She betrayed us once, or have you forgotten that already? I bet she's just itching to do it again.
I just did what I was told, with the promise of returning home. None of this was my decision. You all just got in the way.
Yeah, perpetuating the current system that leads to this senseless cycle of violence. It's the same bullshit excuse you're doing now.
Mikasa, please. Annie, aren't you just making excuses?
Excuses? Bertolt must really be influencing you, eh, Armin?
Huh?
To say I'm the one making excuses? You mean just like what you're trying to do for Eren?
Don't act like you know him.
Don't get too emotional, John. I spent years with him too. I know him just as well as you.
Don't tell us how to feel, you traitor! My mother was turned into a monster because of you bastards! I joined the scouts to defend Ragako village against the threats you people sent our way! And all of it ended up being worthless! I couldn't do anything for my friends or family back home! You evil bastards make me feel so useless and I can't even stand it!
Connie.
I'm sure that's how Aaron feels now. The difference between him and us is he actually has the capability to do something about it! That's the only reason he's the one out there instead of one of us!
Hey, Connie, now that I think of it, remember what Aaron told us when we joined the Scouts? His own mother was eaten by a Titan, right before his very eyes. He didn't just feel powerless, he was powerless, as those bastards killed his mother in the most horrific way possible, right in front of him. And they did it, all while smiling.
You don't get to say that.
Don't I?
You don't know what we've been through.
Well, then you better speak up. Though I doubt whatever tragic backstory you...
I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I feel like no matter what you've been through, your actions don't always justify what you've been through. You could have been through some of the worst stuff, but you, as a human, you could have chose to go another way or to go another route. You could have, I'm not actually like human or something. I don't know, but you could have chose to do something different. Like you made the choice to go ahead and do the dirt that you did. In their case, they made the choice after they got to the island to continue on with their mission. I understand they had family at home and all that good stuff, and all this attention on their family at home. It seemed like they had their hands forced, whatever. But if they knew that the power that was held by the founding titan and all that was absolute and what it was, they could have came up with a plan the same way the Paradis Island people came up with Eldians. The same way they came up with a plan to do what they did in Marley, they could have came up with another plan to get their families out of there and been straight, been safe. Like, went back to Paradis, cool. Now we got all the Titans. They really could have. They could have shifted the narrative. Is what I'm saying. So whatever bullshit they about to spew out of their mouth, it's not really some shit that can be bought.
You cough up won't come close to doing anything to justify it, or change how we feel. People don't change. If they were going to, they would have already. And even if a few do change, what difference would it make if most people don't? It would be the same outcome, no matter what.
And even if we did the impossible and somehow managed to change everyone, then what? They'll still invade our land and kill us, just like you did. Just because a person changes doesn't mean their actions will. They aren't killing us just because they don't like us. There's more than one reason. So removing one of those reasons doesn't remove the source of the problem. And right now, Aaron is stemming out that source.
When we first came to Marley, we helped a kid who was about to be punished for pickpocketing. In the end, he became our friend, but he chose to steal from us anyway. It didn't matter how he thought of us, because his needs didn't change. In the same way he still needed those resources, the world will still need ours. Or worse. Even if they were to sympathize with us, they still need us dead, considering our risk to the world. That disagreement will always be there, regardless of the world's feelings towards us.
It doesn't matter how innocent we are, even if we beg and plead. What kind of reasonable person would fully trust someone born with a bomb strapped to their chest, knowing it could go off at any moment? It's just not safe to let someone like that go free. Even if they didn't kill us all, they would make our lives miserable. It wouldn't even be a life worth living at that point.
It's for the sake of the world.
We didn't even know there was a world outside the walls until recently.
And you expect us to care about it, like it mattered all along?
Don't be ignorant.
Easy for you to say. You got to sit back and watch from the comfort of your own homes, as the world formed an alliance to wipe us all out.
In the same way you're sitting back now, to watch the world burn. Just like a devil.
We're not devils. We're innocent people.
Yeah? So are the people all over the world.
Oh, give me a break. Everyone's done something. They're no less innocent than the rest of us. Don't act like there aren't murderers all over the world. We tried for peace. We really did. Even though we didn't have to. At least we made the attempt. And yet, even while completely unprovoked, the world itself was fine with intentionally lying about us, forming an alliance, declaring war, and becoming murderers for a one-sided battle to completely annihilate us. We would have been lambs to the slaughter. There wouldn't have been any mercy, unlike what we showed you in Liberia. And you expect us to sit back and ignore that?
After you attacked us, the only regret I have is not pushing harder. If we wiped you out even earlier, we could have saved Liberia. You know, Eren taking out all of the world's politicians paints a bad image. It tells them that we have an incompetent security, that Marley is weak. We, the powerhouse of the world.
They aren't human. They wouldn't consider something like that.
Tell me, how did you feel as you senselessly murdered us?
The first time I saw a human life being taken away in front of me, it was one of you. It was Marco. At the time, it confused me, because it made me feel something. For you people. Then afterwards, I started to dream about that moment. That's when I became scared. Scared of my own humanity, mistaking you all for people, and scared my own emotions would get in the way of completing my...
That kind of don't make sense to me, because Rhino was the monster in this situation and he was on her team. Like, I mean, if anything, Marco is showing the most human traits in this situation. So why would she feel like, you know what I'm saying? Why would she feel like, oh, now they're devils? Like, you keep having dreams of what went on. Now they're devils. They should be put down. Y'all did this. Y'all did that. Y'all were the devils.
My emotions. So I killed that humanity and locked those emotions away. So how did I feel as I stomped on those corpses? I felt completely empty inside.
You're so comfortable lying about us. Even straight to our faces. And even tossing around the term devil, knowing we're just like you. Yet when we start acting like one of the devils you so easily call us, you come running to us, devils, for help? What kind of sense does that make? If you're going to do it, at least do it begging, tears in your eyes, groveling on your knees for forgiveness, instead of slandering us like you're superior the whole time. We don't have to look up to you or listen to your orders. We're fine with sitting back and letting your world burn. After all, right now, don't forget, you're in our world.
It's not like we even knew there were people outside the walls in the first place. What difference does it make?
We don't really care what you went through. We care about what you did, because that's the part that affected us. Our trauma is your fault. You can't say the same about us.
Especially considering you were right there with us when Eren told his sickening story. You had no problem sleeping next to us that night. You and Bertolt looked real comfortable sleeping next to the victims of the families you wiped away.
Them's are facts. It was cold for them.
It isn't just families. They went out of their way to ruin lives. They devastated our hometown, slaughtered our citizens, ransacked our military force, and did it while they cower behind their own facade.
That facade broke me. That facade made me put a gun to my head.
Your actions made countless people put a gun to their heads. I wouldn't know. I was right there. I bet you were locked away, alone in private, walling away in a dark room, right? You weren't doing it because you were scared of being eaten alive. You did it because you wanted to end your life. But the people who sat next to me, they wanted to live. The only difference is they actually pulled the trigger right in front of me. I couldn't stop them. Oh God!
At least they got to choose how it all ended. Besides, what's a few victims compared to the entire world?
A few? I tried my hardest not to cry about it, because I decided I wanted to become stronger, especially in front of Eren and Mikasa. But my grandfather, who was one of the only adults I had left after my parents were executed, among 250,000 other innocent citizens, were sent to their deaths immediately, leaving me all alone, a scared child, abandoned as a poor refugee in a new location. When my parents died, my grandfather couldn't do much to console me. He has just lost his child, after all. I can't blame him for not being there for me. It's probably why he didn't mind marching to his death. But I feel like deep
I said Uja's then because the sound went from this side to that side when the gate lifted up the way that it did.
down, he knew he wasn't able to console me. Or maybe he couldn't stand to look at the work that led to his son's death. Either way, at their memorial he gave me my father's book to remember him by. I love that book. It makes sense, right? As a kid, you're more curious and explorative by nature. So of course a book about the outside world would fascinate any kid trapped within a set of walls, like cattle. But maybe because it's all I had left of my parents, I had some deeper attachment to it. I never really stopped to think about it. It was always such a tiny thing growing up. But thinking back, that was it. It's what excited me as a kid. Whenever I felt sad, I could always rely on what was inside that book to make me happy. And when my friends looked sad, I wanted to spread that joy too. I thought it was a blessing my late parents gifted me this. It's the reason I introduced Eren to the outside world in the first place. And that was just after the first attack.
Don't you get it? We're working with inconceivable numbers already, right from square one. You'll never be able to repent, ever. It doesn't matter what you do, nor how hard you try.
But from what I hear, it was Eldia that sent those 250,000 people out to their deaths. That was never our choice. Your people chose that. Because your people were greedy.
It's not like we knew Eldia was in such a sorry state in the first place. We weren't even inside yet. And we were getting desperate. We even lost our leader by the time we got to the gates. And it's not like we could have just waltzed right in.
If I remember correctly, Reiner reported to me that before Eldia sent those 250,000 people to their deaths, only a few thousand people died from their initial attack, at most. For the most part, everyone was able to evacuate.
We allowed them. I bust down the gate, looked the terrified people on that boat right in the eye, and made my choice. Going after soldiers is one thing, but I couldn't bring myself to go after those who had already gotten what they thought was salvation.
Man,
On the other hand,
you still broke the
Armin,
damn wall
when
down.
you transformed in Liberio, you single-handedly killed tens of thousands of people. It wasn't just Marleyan soldiers either. There were innocent civilians on those shores.
You killed them with your own hands. At least Bertold never directly killed anybody.
I didn't want to do it!
Bertold didn't want to do it either. None of us did.
Don't feel bad, Armin. Eren had gone off on his own and left us with no other option.
But the founding Titan had left us. We had no other option.
Don't let him get to you, Armin.
He's just trying to make you feel racked with guilt. He's no better than us. In fact,
He's just a pathetic old man.
We sent 4 Titans to capture your founder, one of which never even made it to your doors. We could have sent a fleet filled with soldiers to gun you all down, but I wasn't interested in a Paradis genocide. I just needed the founder to help turn the tides of the war your people started long ago. I didn't care how they did it. They just needed to find the founder and capture it. Yes, we trained
Really,
them.
kids, they stood
But for
no
the
choice.
unpredictable,
They stood no chance.
We didn't
Fight
know
for
what
it,
was over
even if they
there.
would've sent
It was
people.
their mission to navigate
I don't-
unknown
I-
enemy
they didn't know nothing about older
territory.
here.
They made their decision in the heat of the moment. So, blame them. They're the ones who destroyed your walls and let the Titans in. They came up with that on their own. In the heat of the moment. What they did was never my plan, even if I am responsible for them. But they were only stupid brats who were doing what they thought was best. So, your blame won't get you very far.
You should have just left us out of it. Don't you realize how much senseless suffering you've caused us?
You weren't using the power anyways.
You took our innocence away!
Wrong. Reiner and Bertolt, not me. They took away the innocence of the children living in Shigantian and Trost.
Because they weren't using the power, it was okay to take it. They gotta be using the power. Or isn't that? I don't know where my train of thought was. I don't know where my train of thought was going with that. But because they weren't using the power, it was okay to take it. Is what I'm gathering from what you just said. You weren't using the power anyway.
Not you! Or the lives of the civilians in Stohess and Orville who had nothing to do with this? That was your doing. You chose to involve them. Reiner and Bertolt, they didn't choose whose life.
How do you know what the name of them places is? I'm gonna roll with it. I ain't doing my due diligence as a reactor if I'm not asking questions. You feel me? How he knew what that?
Lives to ruin. They simply chose the closest wall. Maybe if the Titan you stole showed itself like plan.
Doing this turns my camera into a motion thing, and so I accidentally did that. My bad.
None of this would have ever happened. No civilian ever had to die. Your people chose this through their own bottomless stupidity. You people are no more innocent than we are. No human is perfect. It's about time you learned that. So get it through your thick damn skulls already, damn it. In time, we all make mistakes. Things we can't change. Things we regret. Human nature is to be guilty. But that's why we must look towards the future. There's no need to bog down our present with the events of the past. Because in the future, the present will just be an extension of that regret. It's our duty as soldiers to minimize suffering. That means ending wars as swiftly as possible.
Sir, with all due respect, we aren't soldiers. You trained us to be warriors. No mercy.
Mercilessness is mercy on a grand scale. That was the intention from the beginning. Don't you understand that? After all this time? Seriously? Do you need everything explained to you, recruit? You're seriously as worthless as the day your sorry ass first walked up to boot camp.
Mercy, you say? That coming from you? Tell me, how many sleepless nights have you spent surrounded by man-eating monsters?
That's nature. And you had walls. You escaped to your own deluded world of peace for 100 years. You can't be angry the rest of the world dragged you back down to our level. Again, it's not like you were at war. And we weren't asking you to fight in it. We allowed you to stay out of it.
Nighttime, right?
It's a shame that taking the power meant that one person had to die. But it would have been a quick death regardless.
Notice Peak is still back there. Like, I always wondered, even when I watched the show, why Peak sat back there in Titan form. A quick getaway for it if things went south. But at the same time, Mika's on your ass. She on your ass. She going for you first. You in Titan form before them other ones can even transform. Everybody sliced up. Because Connie and them ain't just gonna sit there and watch either. So everybody sliced up before it even happened.
Don't be selfish and think of the bigger picture. Think of all the lives it could have saved. All those years of needless suffering. For what?
The least you could do was give up a power you weren't even using. I didn't care how they captured the Founder, and I gave them more than enough time. Even after years, I still didn't launch a full-blown invasion. Despite Uldi's refusal to cooperate, I merely sent over 2 more Titans. And look how that turned out. I made the choice to decrease our battle power over here by sending away our greatest weapons. And some of those weapons were stolen. The whole world is at stake. Forget about humanity. You devils lack empathy anyways. This isn't just our world. If we don't save it, Eren will level it for you as well. You won't have a planet beyond the walls either. If you won't save it for us, at least do it for yourselves. Selfish cowards.
Save the world? How ridiculous. It's almost laughable. What a fantasy. It must be nice. You can sit there and pretend like all these unrealistic and impossible ideals can actually happen, exactly the way they are in your head, because you haven't experienced that disconnect, have you? That feeling of being completely powerless that I was born into.
The nightmarish reality that is this cruel world. Eren was right. At the very minimum, humanity needs a reminder. The proof is sitting right here in front of us.
On a writing standpoint, I ain't gonna lie, the writing is great. The script is fantastic. The actors, the voices, fantastic. Annie's kind of shaky to me, but not bad. Not bad. Feel like better than what most people could do. A lot of people can't put enough emotion behind their voices and all that good stuff. But it's nice. It's nice to have this out there. It's nice to have this out there so people can see your writing capabilities, and this is something special. I feel like as a writer myself, I feel like this right here is something that I haven't been able to do yet. It's definitely something on my list of things to do, and I applaud you for being able to do it. But not only have you done it, you've done it multiple times with your own series, and then now this. So I really feel like you got something going here, and your story is easy to follow. You're not deviating from the story of the show. Excuse me. You're not deviating from the story of the show. So it's easy to follow, and it's easy to understand why all of this conversation is needed. A lot of this conversation is needed to happen because it didn't happen. And them talking this long and actually talking things out would have been nice. Would have been very nice to see in the actual show. I mean, yeah, they kind of like quickly got to in retrospect, they talked about it, but they didn't talk about it. They talked about it, but they didn't go into expansive detail the way it's going into here. So that's nice to see.
It doesn't matter what you think of us, or Marley. The whole world is at stake. Innocent people's lives are on the line.
What does it matter if it's the whole world? At this point, the death count is so high, we'll never be able to understand what each individual life meant, on either side.
That's right. Right now, Eren is fighting. For us. We've had to throw our dead away as bait just to make it back home. We couldn't even give them a proper burial after they earned their respects. And we had to squander it. So what's the world supposed to mean to us?
We're just fighting back after years of resentment. Now it's your turn to be on the shitty end of it. You have a chance to feel the fear and the helplessness that we felt. Then maybe you'll finally understand deep down how hopeless we always knew it was.
We only killed who we had to for the sake of our mission. Armin, you wanted to know why I didn't kill you, right? I could have. It would have been so easy. There was nothing stopping me. It was the path of least resistance. In fact, Marley wanted you dead. You're dangerous in your own way, and I knew that. But on that day, as I slaughtered your teammates, left you without a horse in Titan territory, and carefully raised your hood to look in your scared, defenseless eyes, I saw a reflection of myself in you. At that moment, for the first time in my life, I made a choice. For the first time, I felt the ability to decide something for myself. I don't care if it was entirely selfish. It was a decision I was able to make, all on my own, with nobody guiding me down a path or pressuring me into what to choose. It was so freeing. At that moment, I realized something. I'm not an Eldian or Marleyan soldier. nor a Titan warrior. And I'm definitely not a heartless bastard either. Armin, the reason I spared your life is so simple. It's ironic someone as smart as you hasn't caught on. It's because I'm just like you. I'm human.
You're not! I already told Eren that you cast your humanity aside!
The fact I told you to not join the Survey Corps is proof of it. I didn't want you to die, and you called me a kind person. Maybe it's because I knew I could never consider myself such a thing. I needed someone alive who believed it. I needed to hear someone say it. If I killed you, I'd be taking away that part of myself. It would be killing the human inside of me. And I wasn't ready to let that go, because I didn't want to go back to that feeling of nothingness, the sensation of being nobody, without the ability to choose for myself. I didn't want to lose what you gave me, rather, what you allowed me to realize I had.
Be honest with me, y'all. Y'all feel like Armin and Annie could have been you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Maybe it was selfish, but I meant what I said. Leaving you alive could have become a burden. It would be a risk to the mission and lead to countless more senseless killing down the line. Yet, even with knowing that, I made my own decision. The fact that you're alive is a testament to that. And I respected your decision in return. The fact that I went along with your stupid and reckless plan to go to that basement, knowing full well what was going to happen, is all the proof you need.
Would a human do all the terrible things you've done?
Would a monster do all the rest I've done? Humans are complex, Armin.
Yeah.
They do contradictory things all the time. Don't you, of all people, understand that? They don't know what they want. Their bodies move on their own and they don't know why.
Huh?
They're scared. And I'm scared. Scared that I was right. Scared that the day you become a dangerous, risky burden has come. Scared that my decision to spare you in that field has finally caught up to me. Even if you want to say Eren is justified, the whole world is at stake, regardless of what you may think of me. They're human too, and you know it, because they're
More human
scared,
than most.
just like you, and just like me. In that way.
Wouldn't the dude have burned up before the Titan's foot was able to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I guess I'm
Can't you relate to your enemies? Weren't you afraid as your friends were killed right in front of your eyes? It's the same thing Eren's doing now, just on a much larger scale.
Eren once tried giving me advice.
Yo,
I'm
I'm one of those people that I genuinely thought that Eren wouldn't tweet like that. I genuinely thought Eren would not tweet like this, but he did tweet like this, and it is so crazy to think that he went through with that junk, because like I get it, everything was like set in motion, you know, like the memories and all that connected and stuff like that. But I really thought he was gonna pull a main character. No, that's not my destiny, and you know, just I guess wall off the island again. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen for real, but I just didn't think he was gonna.
Didn't quite get it at the time. Or at least I didn't want to. He told me that, unlike myself, the reason he's able to stop himself from trembling when faced with a Titan is because he transforms his fear into hatred.
Yeah.
When he first told me that, I felt strength welling up inside of me. I thought I knew what he was trying to say. That in order to face my enemies, I need to face my fears head on, instead of trying to run away from them. But now, I think I finally understand what he really meant. He was never telling it to me. He was repeating it back to himself. He's probably done it a ridiculous number of times by now, strengthening his conviction to face greater and greater threats, and to become the monster he needs to be in order to defeat them. For his freedom. For the visions we want to see in the world outside the walls. It's what he does every time he throws himself into a life-threatening situation.
I was finna ask the question, but it answered my question.
He isn't doing it for us. He's doing it for his own beliefs. Those beliefs just so happen to benefit us and harm you. So I never gave them much thought until now. But the truth is, he's doing it because he's an idiot. I always hated it when he said that about himself. But looking back, I think I finally understand what he meant. He wasn't saying it in the traditional sense or in any way he could understand. He was saying it in comparison to me, because he saw my natural reaction and compared it to his own. How I could put on a front to act rational, even in the most extreme of situations, and how I could use logic to defeat my enemies through words instead of action. Unlike him, who recklessly rushed forwards, headfirst, without any regard for his own safety or life. Because that's who he is. And he was comparing that to who I am. Similar, yet different. We were both being brave. But for me, it was all pretend. I did it for him and Mikasa. But for Eren, it was entirely real. And all this time, even now, he's not doing it for anyone in particular. Not even for himself. He's doing it for freedom.
You can't possibly defend him. He's going to kill so many people. Only a truly heartless bastard could do such a thing.
Annie.
We're not the ones who brought civilians into this. I saw it myself. Back when you attacked our home in Shiganshina, women, children, mothers and fathers, and even babies were mercilessly crushed or eaten. It didn't matter how much they pleaded, or screamed, or kicked, or ran. They were all killed. And none of them deserved it. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate enough to be born into this. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate.
What the hell?
None of them deserved it. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate.
The sound effect. One more time.
None of them deserved it. They were all innocent. They were just unfortunate.
Grandma sounded like a grown ass man. Get it.
Enough to be born into this world in the line of your crossfire as you transformed our small peaceful world into a sudden survival of the fittest.
Eren once told us your kind fed one of our own to the dogs, the sister of Eren's father, an innocent little girl. That's the sick, demented kind of shit your people do to good people. In comparison,
Hey,
at least
and keep up with current times, right? The Eldians were not pointing blame on what people did in the past until old man started doing that. Oh, your people did this. Your people sent this many people. Blah 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 blah. Now they're throwing back on those memories that Eren told them about what happened to his aunt. Pay attention. I'm paying attention.
Eren's making it quick. They aren't suffering. They aren't being eaten alive. But that doesn't matter to you, does it?
There was no compromise. No matter how hard they begged for it. No matter who they were. Like you said, countless men, women, children, and even babies. Fed to dogs or titans. Crushed to death or snapped in half or stomped on. At this point, it doesn't matter how they died. That violence is continuing to this day, and on a bigger scale than it ever was before. We don't have to understand it. All we can do is try to play our part in stopping it from growing any larger than it already is. At this point, that's what we're fighting for. And being the cold-hearted realist that I am, I'm going to tell you right now that that's the best outcome we can ask for. So, if you want to have any kind of help at all, place your hope in that.
You have no right to say you were scared. You crossed the line from the very beginning, let alone everything you've done since. You have no right to say who's going too far.
If Grisha met those dogs who ate his sister, do you think he could ever turn his back to them? Even if those dogs begged for forgiveness, would he ever see them as innocent animals over ravenous, flesh-eating murderers who took his sister's life. If those dogs smiled or whimpered,
It's the fact that they was able to stomach watching that shit happen. I can understand if you a cold bastard, but that's just.
would he not be anxious? Or would he wonder why they couldn't have smiled when they were too busy eating his sister? Even if those dogs were asleep next to him, could he relax? Or would he be tempted to take the upper hand while they slept? If that's how he looks at those dogs, how would he treat the men who ordered those dogs to kill her? What would he think of the men who were ordered to stand by and let it happen?
Forget us! You can't even trust the oppressed Eldians on Marley, let alone the honorary Marleyans sitting right in front of you. They've already proven their loyalty. If you won't bother letting your guard down around them, how do you ever expect anything to work out between us?
Can you blame us? If a Titan gained intelligence, would you turn away from it? If a Titan learned to speak, would you be at ease near its mouth? If it were to ask to be friends, would you bring yourself to befriend it? How much would you have to convince yourself it's okay when you know it's not?
It doesn't matter what we do or say. It doesn't matter how much we plead or beg.
The world already looked at us worse than dogs before this all started in the first place. So now, there's not a snowball's chance in hell they would even consider anything other than complete obliteration. People aren't like that. It's too easy.
Mikasa, I get it. But Eren, he's been fighting back for a while now. He's tired. Let's put him to rest and end his suffering.
Reiner, are you trying to play with our emotions?
Yeah.
I've never seen such a pathetic attempt at manipulation.
Armin, you have absolutely no qualms with playing with others' hearts.
Man in y'all face.
You're capable of manipulating anyone's emotions whenever you deem it necessary. You've always been like that. It's because you're selfish. And it's because you're weak. You leverage your brain to make up for the difference in power. It doesn't matter who it is or how sadistic you have to become, especially if it's for someone you care about, like Eren or Mikasa. You had them defend you, didn't you? And it made you happy, knowing you faced no worry hiding.
Hold on. But we're not finna do a disrespect my boy Armin, alright? We're not finna do that. My boy didn't cower, he didn't hide behind them. He just didn't have the strength to do what was necessary to protect himself. So his friends, his homies did it. Now, as a honorary good friend myself, to everyone around me, I try to be anyway. You gotta, if your friends can't do it, you got to do it. And you got to step up for them. You got to take up for them. Like, that's where loyalty come to play. They was loyal to Armin. Armin wasn't strong enough to fight nobody, and he didn't have the heart for it. But they did. The dog in them for real. So they did it. Armin wasn't cowering behind nobody. Just using manipulations. He didn't start using manipulation tactics until after Irvin was like, yeah, you could do that for real. You could be a me.
Behind your friends, using them as your own personal shield all your life, carelessly walking all over people like a bully. You may be weak, but you more than make up for it when you hit people where it hurts the most.
Okay.
Sure, we may have killed people, but what you've been doing is truly cruel.
Not really.
Armin,
Not in comparison.
you and I are a lot alike. We both know when to talk. Or rather, we both know when not to. You and I understand the value of listening to your enemy. Just like Peek over here, who knows when to keep her mouth shut, unlike the rest of these idiots.
In a sense, you could say we're cowards. Or taking the easy route.
You harness their words and exploit them to turn it against them. It's a masterclass manipulation at its best. Psychological torture in the heat of the moment. You know the easiest way to break someone. That's because you and I are level-headed. Battle tacticians who look for any advantage we can take,
And his voice go
even
crazy.
if it's the
His voice
smallest
go
one.
crazy.
We don't neglect it, or try looking for anything more. We take it, without question,
He's a
and we
professional.
use and abuse them.
At the end of the day, we're at war. Whether it's officially declared or not.
We're just doing what's most efficient as leaders, because we understand the details are what matter. The smallest things.
Sorry to burst your bubble, Commander, but the one you're most like here isn't Armin. It's me. That's because you and I actually tried to understand the enemy. Eren always hated that. All the way back when I first tried to learn about Titans. Because he wanted to exterminate every last one of them. He never cared to learn or understand them. It just came naturally to me. He hated my nature. And the moment he learned of Marley's existence, the goalpost shifted.
Huh? It shifted.
He went from wanting to exterminate every last Titan to wanting to eradicate every last one of you across the sea. And when we first snuck over to your land, he never wanted to give your lifestyle a chance.
Justified.
He had already made his mind up from the moment he realized you existed. But, in a sense, he never changed. He always wanted to kill every last one of his enemies. He just happened to find more enemies.
How unsettling.
It was easier to kill them than to understand them. If he understood them, he may lose his drive to kill them. And that drive is his instinct. It's his purpose for continuing to live. It's the reason he gives worth to being born in the first place. Eren never wanted to understand them. He didn't even want to try. So, he hated the fact that I did.
The less you know about your enemy, the less chance there is to relate to them. It's just easier that way. To go in head first as an idiot who knows nothing at all.
But for whatever reason, you and I were born with a desire for knowledge. We're people who demand to take the hard path. So, yeah, he probably has a greater hatred for someone who would try and sympathize with his enemy than he does for his enemy himself. At least he can understand his hatred for his enemy. But he can't understand what I'm trying to do. What's more, he would hate it if I succeeded. He's the type of person who would despise having to give up that hatred more than that hatred is worth in and of itself. In other words, he would rather continue having something to hate rather than giving up their hatred altogether. You had the power to make a difference, but you chose not to.
Don't think my personal feelings will make a difference. Even if I were to see Eldians as something more than just monsters within them. I can't speak out. If I did, Marley would just replace me with someone else who wouldn't. And they would be far worse towards you than I am. After all, I'm the reason your generation had years of relative peace without a Marleyan invasion in the first place.
You're a terrible liar.
You mean like you tried to do to Bertolt? How you told him his love, Annie, was being mercilessly tortured alive.
Tried to do? Because ain't no try.
It doesn't even compare to the atrocities you committed. He only did that to Bertolt because you kidnapped Eren.
We only kidnapped him because he wasn't willing to listen. Are you forgetting? You're the reason we transformed in the first place, Mikasa.
Nah. He cooking. He definitely cooking. So, check this out. We're gonna do this in two parts. Right? Got this one. I ain't got that much long. It's about 20 more minutes. We're gonna do this in two parts, right? We're gonna do it up to here, and we're gonna finish it later on. So, with that being said, go ahead and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Do all that because it's important, and it's important that y'all, if y'all made this fun video, to like the video. I really appreciate that. From you. Yeah, we're gonna do part 2 the next time, and the next time y'all better come back for the part 2. Anyway, it's been Iceman. Catch you guys later.
I said I wake up in the morning and turn my trap on.